Hello, I'm Paul Kuzno, your transformational leader from Sound of Prana, and I want to share some information about my recent trip that I did in the Amazon rainforest of Peru. So this was a group that I was leading. There was 700 people with me, and we just had an amazing adventure. I am extremely excited to be sharing some of that experience with you so that you can have a taste of what it means to go in the Amazon rainforest. I know that the first time that I planned the trip to go there, it was so powerful in my imagination, and I had no idea what to expect. I just knew it was going to be different than, let's say, New York City. So there's a first interesting story, which is when we went on a small boat on the Amazon River to go to Monkey Island. So Monkey Island is a place where they get monkeys that have been rescued from, there's like poachers, and there's people that actually get monkeys and train them as thieves, and then some people have them as illegal pets. So when the authorities find these monkeys, one of the things that they can do is bring it to Monkey Island, and that's a not-for-profit, and in there they rehabilitate the monkeys to be friendly with humans, and they are free roaming. And once they're rehabilitated, they're actually allowed to just run off on the island and go back into the jungle. So it's a pretty cool place. And then you get to play with the different monkeys. They jump on you, they can climb on your head, and sometimes they do actually try to steal your stuff. So the one of them got like the necklace that I had, but I caught his hand just in time to prevent him from running away with it, or leaping away with it, I guess would be the right word in this context. So when we came back from Monkey Island and we're on the Amazon River, then we ran out of gas. And this is where the situation really got crazy, because we had an emergency reserve of gas. Woohoo! Well, no, don't get excited so fast, because it had fuel for about 1, maybe 2 minutes. I don't even think it lasted just 2 minutes of driving with the motor. So it was a ridiculous reserve. And then that brought us back to one of the shorelines, which was super high, maybe, I don't know, like 7 feet high. So we couldn't get out of the boat, but at least we were on the side. And then the captain of that very small ship called with his radio, or not the radio, but his cell phone, for help. And as we were waiting there, eventually there came a massive series of waves, and that just like started rocking our boat and rocking our boat. But it was actually really dangerous, because we almost flipped over. And what happened is that everyone from the group was in perfect sync, and we all went to the same side of the boat to like balance it off. Everyone was like calm, serene, and it was so wonderful how the group was already interacting together and cooperating, collaborating on one of the first days of our pilgrimage. And then when the waves passed and we were actually okay, which I'm very grateful for, then we discussed about how no one had freaked out, even though it had been a really dangerous situation. And what that taught me is that we can actually all act as one collaborative mind. It's like we all knew to go to the same side of the boat, to keep our cool. We had like a few words that we were exchanging, but not much was actually being said. And then the energy of the group, of that like peaceful, serene, and very clear mind as to what we needed to do, was being exchanged to the different people in the group, so that we were all in one vibe. We were all acting as a unit. And then we had a small fishing boat that came to us, and then they brought us back to the port. Everyone was safe, which was extremely fantastic. So then later, we ended up a few days later going on some of the hikes in the jungle. And then one of the events that happened is we were going through a swamp. And that was an area where our guide said, walk in single file. It's really important. And okay, it's a swamp. Some of the areas looked harsh, but people were putting down their guards because the whole trip had been going so smooth. And it's like, yeah, we're pretty safe here. And then once we were walking in an area that seemed like a very small clearing, one of the participants kind of like went sideways because there was room. Why not, right? And then the next thing that happened is that he started sinking in mud, and it was almost like a quicksand. And then he started really freaking out because he couldn't get out of it. And then our guide got him, pulled him out, but then his boot was stuck in there. And then it took so long to get the boot out. But what happened is that our guide was then stuck. And then 2 more of them came to help him get out of it. And then we could see the tension rising. We could perceive now that there was an actual danger to that situation. Now, we are very familiar with that environment, and we weren't alone, right? If you were by yourself, then you would probably be in big trouble. But we had 3 guides with us, and we were 8 in the group, so we were able to help each other out, get unstuck, and then continue on our path. Until we got to this really nice lake, and the lake was very still, and it's like, that doesn't look like a great place to swim because the water looks a little bit still, but could we? And that's when we found out that there was alligators, anacondas, and electric eels sending you 400-volt electrocution shocks in that lake. So it's like, nope, don't even think about going in there. Just stay here and enjoy the view from where we are. So again, what did I learn here? Well, one is there's a reason sometimes when there's instructions, right? Why did he say walk in single file? So even though it looked safe to go, to the side, it actually wasn't. And if sometimes you want to steer off the designated path, that's good. I encourage you to make your way in life and to live life on your own terms. But also, it doesn't hurt to ask for advice or to just ask, well, why are you recommending that I walk in single file? Or maybe you might be saying, well, why are you recommending that I make this particular decision with my conscious business? And then listen, just see what are the explanations, what are the reasons behind that recommendation, and then make your opinion. But if you rush in head first, then you're not necessarily sure what you're getting yourself into. And if you're going to be making a decision, might as well make an informed decision. So that was another one of the adventures from the Amazon, and everyone really loved the swamp area. And then we were working with the ayahuasca sacred medicine that evening, and that is a visionary plant, and we have the ayahuasquero hero that guides us with Icaros, and these are magical songs that guide the energy of the ceremony, and that allows a lot of cleansing, clearing, removing shadow material blockages that are holding you back, so that you can be your best self and accomplish what you came here to do in this life. And also tends to give people some insights on some of the next steps that you should be considering for your lives. So what I really like is that when I was in the ceremony, I could feel the energy of the swamp. It was just like seeping and easing through. And I was seeing those areas with like that little mud and the different vines that were there, as well as the strangulating trees that were all around me. And that environment was also a representation of an aspect in me. In me, there lives a swamp. There lives a place where there's that almost like yuckiness. But really, it's a place full of life because the swamp had so many life forms. We even saw some prehistoric birds there. So that place is not a dangerous place. It's just knowing how to explore it. How do you actually go back in events of your lives that might have been a bit more traumatic? There's a way that you can do that. And one of the techniques that I love to do is using the breath to stay present and aware. So then I'm not like in reactive mode or freaking out. And then during the ceremony, as I was exploring that inner swamp, that inner landscape, both symbolically, energetically, and visually, because I was actually having visuals of that swamp, then I would always go back to the breath, and just come in with curiosity so that I explore it fully. And then by the end of the ceremony, I felt so much better. And I mean, I have to admit, I did the infamous purge, so that's like throwing up, and when you throw up, you remove some of that gunk. But the throwing up felt so good. And since I've come back from the Amazon, I actually feel lighthearted. And I'm really feeling more connected with my purpose here and my passions, so that I don't necessarily let my fears control me. Because my fears is like that quicksand, it's like that swamp, it's like that sludge, right? It's there. But it doesn't mean that I have to walk in it by myself. And this is the difference, right? Like when we were stuck earlier, when the other people of the group were stuck, we got out of it because we weren't alone. And you're also not alone, and I'm not alone. There's a lot of people that want to make a big difference in the world. And one of the things that we can do is get together so that we can make a bigger difference and help each other out. One time, it's going to be me helping you get out of the swamp, and the next time, you're going to be the one giving me that hand, you know? And this is how we're going to make our dreams come true and create the world that we want to live in and really manifest our successful, conscious businesses. If you want to connect more with me, I invite you to check out my website, soundofprana.ca. That is soundofprana.ca. You're going to get a lot of content there. More video blogs, articles. You're also going to have access to free gifts that I give. There's regularly online training that I offer. And you're also going to find ways to connect further with me. And I'd really like to hear what you are up to, what you are creating in the world to make that positive difference. So check out soundofprana.ca and we'll stay in touch.